There was a man in Africa who heard that people made millions of dollars collecting these things called diamonds. So getting excited, he decided to sell his farm, leave his family, and travel the continent of Africa in search of diamonds. Unsuccessful, and in a fit of total despondency, he ends up throwing himself into a river and drowns. Now the story doesn't end there, and I know that you'll love the conclusion, but I want to tell you why I'm sharing this story with you. Just a few weeks ago, I was a talent manager working with some of the most successful musicians and celebrities in the world. I was the CEO of an enterprise technology platform that had over 500,000 unique pages analyzing 1 billion bits of real-time data. And I evolved out of all of that to become an artist. The first thing I ever wanted to do, but the last thing I ever thought I would do. And that dream was born in my heart in about 2008 when my mom was putting on this concert for China for global peace in the Beijing National Stadium where the 2008 Olympics were being held. And there was one man who came to these meetings, and his name was Mark Victor Hansen. He was the creator of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. They sold over 500 million books. It's the best-selling franchise series of all time. And Mark had everybody on the edge of their seat telling jokes, making them laugh, making them cry, making them feel so deeply in their hearts and their souls that one of the camera people stood up and said, "Mark, we got to get this on tape for the people in China." And Mark said, "Put me anywhere you want and say go." And I thought to myself, whoa, okay, do you want some time to prepare? It might make sense to actually write out what you're going to say first. You're delivering an address to the entire people of China, national broadcast television, it's kind of a big deal. And he just said, "No, put me anywhere and say go." And he did, and he delivered one of the best speeches I've ever heard in my entire life. It was amazing. It inspired the crap out of me. And I thought to myself, watching him, wow, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to make my life about inspiring people, about delivering motivational messages, helping pull out the best in people so that they can live in their brightest capacity. So that they can really truly access the power, their star power that's within them. Not just some people, but within all people. And ever since then, I've been blessed to call Mark my mentor. So, of course, he was one of the first people I called when I changed my career path, so to speak. And I wanted to share with him what I was doing and also to ask for his guidance. And what he said to me was that most people have more talent and more ability than they ever use in their life. And I'm thinking to myself, this is kind of the right direction. And we get to hold a mirror up to those people to help them utilize their full potential in their life. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And he said, and the only thing that you need to do is just to be yourself. And I'm like, yes, I'm in. Thank you. And then I start sharing with him my plan, all excited. So I've been enrolled in Hogwarts, the School of Magic and Witchcraft and Wizardry for 2 years in order to become a master, to master the mechanic of public speaking, of facilitation, of transformation, of the art and science of changing people's lives, and I'm going to be great at it. And he goes, you could spend your whole life preparing. And I'm like, oh my God, what road have I started going down here? And I say, no, but Mark, you don't understand. I need to build up credibility for myself because I just started doing this, and when someone just starts doing something, they need to build a bit of success so that people know that they're good at what they do. I was planning on being a talent manager, remember, and becoming ultra successful there so that I could end up leaving that and then becoming a speaker. But now that I don't have that level of credibility anymore, I need to find it a new way, right? And he goes, no, you're alive and you decide to do it. That's enough. And I go, oh. And he goes, stop giving me excuses. Stop giving me the excuses of I'll do it when or I'll do it if. You're alive and you decide to do it. That's all the credibility that you need to start. So start it now. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, why? I knew this was a bad idea. I knew it. I thought to myself before calling him, he's probably going to push me in a direction that's going to be really uncomfortable that I'm not going to like. Why am I calling him? And then, of course, he does. And I'm thinking to myself, no, it's all a joke, Mark. I didn't really mean that. I kind of just want to dabble in it a bit and play off the sidelines and watch all the players on the court shooting the hoops, but never really touch the ball myself. But then I thought to myself, no, of course, I want to do this. Yes, I'm committed. I will do it. All right, Mark, tell me. What do I have to do? What's next? Tell me. I'll do anything you say. And he goes, I want you to read Acres of Diamonds tonight. And I'm going, oh my God. You just told me a story about how your first year you gave 1,000 presentations, 1,000 seminars, sometimes 4 a day, and you had never done it before in your entire life, and you just started, and you started doing them, and people just kept booking you and booking you and booking you. You want me to go deliver presentations and be paid for it, not just do it for free? And you want me to read a book tonight? You want me to do anything, like change the world by this morning too, and solve cancer and world peace? Oh my God, how do I do all of this? And of course, he's my mentor, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to let Mark down, so I think, yes, all right, I'll do it. And of course, he didn't yell like that, but that's just the feeling when someone who you really love and respect is delivering a message that challenges you. And so I read Acres of Diamonds, and I shared the beginning of the story that a man from Africa hears these stories about how people make millions of dollars collecting these strange little rocks called diamonds. So he gets excited and thinks, I can do that! And ends up leaving his family and selling his farm to go pursue diamonds across the entire African continent. Unsuccessfully throwing himself into a river, he drowns. Meanwhile, back on the farm, as the story goes, the new owner is taking a walk across a river one day, and he sees this bright blue and red scintillation in the water. And he goes, oh, that looks interesting. He reaches down, he grabs it, picks it up. It's a giant rock that looks pretty cool. So he goes, great, I'll keep this. And he puts it up on his mantelpiece and forgets about it. A few weeks later, a friend comes in and goes, hey, how you doing? Looks up at the mantelpiece, goes, that's really interesting. He looks back at his friend, he goes, yeah, okay. How do you like this farm? It's pretty interesting, right? It's a new, and he turns back to the mantelpiece, goes, And he turns back to his friend and he goes, yeah, do you have any tea or anything to eat? It's so nice out here. Yeah, I traveled the distance. Then he turns back to the mantelpiece and his eyes light up and he gets it. He turns to his friend, he goes, do you know what that is? And his friend goes, yeah, it's a cool little rock that I found in the river. It's awesome, right? And his friend goes, no. That's not just a rock. You have there one of the largest diamonds I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. So the man who had sold his farm to go pursue diamonds across the African continent had literally been sitting on acres of diamonds right at home that ended up becoming the largest diamond mine in the entire continent of Africa. But it's not the only story like this. In 1847, a man named James heard about gold being discovered in the Sierra Nevada valleys. So he gets excited and he sells his mill to a man and goes off to try to strike it rich for himself. And the man that he sells it to has a little daughter, a little girl, and she too goes by a riverbed and she starts playing with the sand. She collects some sand from the riverbed and she brings it back to the fireplace to sift through the sand and to look at all the nice scintillating colors, and shows her daddy, look at all these great colors, Daddy, it's amazing. And her daddy goes, give me that sand. And he looks through the sand, and in the sand are the largest gold flakes he's ever seen in his entire life. What was the man's name? Colonel Sutter. And if you're familiar at all with your California gold rush history, Colonel Sutter's mill was the epicenter of the 1948-1949 California gold rush explosion, drawing hundreds of thousands of people to the West Coast. Now, that's not the end of the story. There's more like this, too. There's a man in Philadelphia who was a buffalo herder who was bored of his life being a buffalo herder and wanted to do something a bit more exotic and exhilarating and also more lucrative. So he writes his brother, who is an oil man, and says, brother, I want to join you in the oil business. And his brother writes back and says, but you know nothing about the oil business. So he writes his brother back and he says, but I will! I'm going to learn everything there is to know about the oil business. I'll show you! And he goes on this quest, and he does. He learns everything there is to know about the oil business, where oil is found, how it's produced, what it looks like, what it smells like, what it tastes like. He becomes a world expert on oil, and when he's ready, Jones writes to his brother, and he says, brother, I am now an expert in oil. And his brother writes him back and says, great, now come work for me. And so he sells his farm, and he goes off, and he joins his brother in the oil business. Back on his farm, the man who buys it goes out to water the buffalo, and he sees this strange contraption built over the watering hole to siphon off and to dam up this black acrid scum that the bison wouldn't come close to, let alone drink from the water when it was around. And what was the scum, you might ask? It was $1 billion worth of oil that Jones had dammed up to go pursue a life striking it rich in the oil business with his brother. this so-called expert of oil dammed up $1 billion of oil on his own darn field. And how much did he sell the oil field for? A whopping $835. See, the point of these stories is not to laugh at people who had fortune literally staring them in the face and still miss the signs, but rather to laugh at ourselves for how we make the same mistake. Because for most of us, success, excellence, self-worth all live in the world of complaints. That's the place where the grass is always greener. That's the place where what I need and what I want is all over there and never right here. And the thing about it is that it doesn't work, because then you don't ever appreciate what you have until it's gone. I remember I had the most magnificent girlfriend ever in high school. She has literally taught me since this day what it means to love another human being. It means to own their owner's manual, to amplify positive emotions in them. I've never found another woman that I've been in relationship with who's amplified me as deeply. And because she amplified me so much and made me feel so good about myself, instead of me thinking, oh, this is the girl, I love this woman, I thought to myself, now I got more energy to go over here and find out what's next and find out what's over there and just adventure a bit more. And the moment that I woke up to the fact that, wow, this woman was a blessing in my life, she was amazing, she was absolutely extraordinary, it was too late, because I had already pulverized and crushed her heart so deeply by that point, she would never forgive me. Now, we don't always get second chances in our life. We don't always get to buy back our acres of diamonds once we've sold out on them. But the point is to not make the same mistake twice, to learn from our lessons, to learn about going over there when we should be looking right here. I have a fundamental belief, and if you have sold your acres of diamonds like I have in my life so many times, that what's next is always better, so it's not the end of the world. But the thing is that some people are looking for their acres of diamonds over here, outside in space, when they could be looking in the field in here. In the great master Jesus' words, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. But if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. And there's only one way to win, and there's a story about a man who you all know, which I think illustrates this so beautifully and perfectly. When Elvis was about 18 and a half years old, he travels to Memphis, Tennessee to record in Sun Studios a little song for his mother called My Happiness. Most of you have probably never heard of this song. And he must have charmed the receptionist a bit. She must have thought that he was cute, because she ends up writing a note for Sam Phillips, the legendary producer who ran the studio. You gotta check this kid out. He might have something. He might be talented. And Sam, always looking for the next best thing, decided, all right, I'll give this kid a shot. So he says, Elvis, I want you to come in. I want you to give me everything you got. I want you to play me every song you know, and I'm going to test you, and if you got the goods, we're going to roll with it. If you don't, sorry, you can get in the back of the bus with everybody else who wants to make it big in this business but doesn't have the chops. So Elvis comes in, and he brings his heart out, and he plays his rockabilly, and he plays his blues, and he sings his ballads, and he does his Elvis thing, and Sam Phillips goes, oh my goodness gracious, what did my receptionist see in this kid? He's got literally no talent. He's a complete and utter hack. This guy is the most unoriginal person I've ever seen in my life. This is not the superstar that I was expecting. Goodbye. So he starts packing up his briefcase and putting on his hat and getting ready to leave. And Elvis, thinking that the session was over, does something that fundamentally changed the history of music forever. He pulls out his guitar, he turns towards Scotty Morris, and he turns towards Bill Black, his accompanying session musicians who were playing with him that day, and he says, here's a little number that I love called That's Alright. Now that the session's over, let's just have some fun. So he gets alright, he starts jamming out, that's alright mama, that's alright you, that's alright mama, any way you do, that's alright. And he starts doing his thing, and Sam's ears start perking up, and he goes, what is this? He stops dead in his track, his hair standing on end, and he rushes back into the control room going, whoa, guys, what were you doing? And Elvis just says, oh, this is just what I do for fun in my spare time. You were gone, so I just had fun with myself. And Sam goes, no, roll that back. We're recording this. Go now. And 3 days later, the record, That's Alright, debuted on Red Hot and Blue, and was an instant sensation, instant smash hit. Callers calling in from everywhere requesting the song. The little shy, nothing kid from Tupelo, Mississippi, ends up becoming the king of rock and roll. And can you imagine if Elvis had not brought forth what was within him? Can you imagine if he had waited one more minute to bring forth that Elvis spirit of the king, which we all know and love today, which popularized rock and roll music? Can you imagine if he just went, oh, okay, what I have to offer the world isn't good enough? So often in my life, I've waited for the moments to start. I've waited for those moments. And no time is that more true than when I was practicing learning in memory. I looked at this giant mountain of an elephant and how to eat the elephant of information, because there's so much information in the world today. And I thought to myself, how do I take all of that stuff out there and cram it into my brain? And I was learning with a man named Dominic O'Brien, who was the 8-time world memory champion, a total, utter genius and an innovator. And I ended up asking him all of these questions as I started getting really serious into it. And I started getting into memorizing decks of cards and long strings of numbers and memorizing all the information that I learned. And I ended up asking him all of these really technical questions, as though I was already a master, I already knew more than I actually did, as though I wanted to impress him with how intelligent I was. And essentially what he did was he wrote back something very simple. He quoted the German poet Goethe. And the Goethe quote goes something like this: "Until one is definitely committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits himself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur that would have never otherwise occurred. A whole stream of events issues forth from that decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance that no man would have dreamed would come his way. Whatever you can do, or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has a genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now. Begin it now." So looking at this giant mountain that I had to scale, instead of wondering about all these technical, big, large, lofty things that masters have to think about, who have trying to perfect that last 10%, they're going from 80% to completing the last 20%. I thought to myself, okay, cool, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm going to get dirty in the process. This is entrepreneurship, baby. This is growth. This is progress. This is being a leader. And so I started memorizing decks of cards, started memorizing numbers, and my whole mind just went expanded out, all in that one moment, because I definitely committed myself and I began it. So I'm sharing this with myself as I share it with you. Because we all need this in our lives, what I'm about to say. And essentially it goes something a bit like this, that, oh my God, yeah, it goes something a bit like this. That you have acres of diamonds ready for the taking within you now. And you're already alive. That's all you need to start. So whatever you can do, or dream, or envision for yourself, begin it. Begin it now. Much love, Benjamin Rolnick. Many blessings. I'm Benjamin Rolnick. That's what I meant. And I'm sending you so much love. I wish all your dreams come true. The world doesn't need more people doing what they should be doing. The world needs more people who are set on fire, set alive, who can burn always with a gem-like flame and prove what the human being is capable of. I love you, and I urge you to love yourself.